Hi everyone, welcome to a virtual town hall forum featuring candidates for KISD School Board. My name is Manny Salazar. I'm the President and CEO of the Kingsville Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Terry Fitzwater. I'm the publisher and editor of the Kingsville Record.
Today we will have two forums featuring various candidates for school board. The first forum will feature candidates from places 4 and 5. The second forum, beginning at 7:15, will feature candidates from places 6 and 7. Candidates will receive a 3-minute opening, followed by a series of questions, with which they will have 2 minutes to answer, and a 3-minute closing to end it out. And so with that, actually, candidates have agreed to the rules prior to the start of the forum. Everyone understands the format, everyone has agreed to it. And so with that, we will welcome the candidates in and begin. Good evening, candidates, welcome. I will be your timekeepers today for the forum. You will each have 3 minutes for your opening. And Mr. Garcia, if you'd like to begin, your 3 minutes begin now, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to the Chamber for allowing us to come together and also share what our thoughts are and what our views are, what our goals are for KISD. My name is David Garcia, okay, born and raised here in Kingsville, Texas. I am the oldest of 4, okay, I've got 2 brothers and a sister. Also born and raised here in Kingsville. We're lifetime Kingsville people, so we are truly invested in the things of Kingsville. So went to high school here, graduated in 1987, okay, and went to the university here, then Texas A&I, and then graduated as Texas A&M University, Kingsville, okay. Not too happy about that. I wish I was A&I, but oh well, okay. Like I say, I've currently work with Claiborne County Human Services, okay. Been there since '06, my second tour, like I like to call it, and I've been with them since '06. Right now I am Director of Transportation, okay. My boss allows us to operate our system to see what's best and beneficial for the citizens here in Claiborne and Kingsville. I'm married to Raquel A. Garcia. We've been married 22 years, okay. I have 2 kids, Sarah and JD, okay. I pastor a church in Bishop, okay. We've been there the last 19 and a half years or so, still spreading God's word there. And what can I say? The interest that I have here is just to do what we need to do for the betterment of our kids here in Kingsville, KISD.
Thank you, Mrs. Price. Your turn.
Thank you first to the Chamber and to the Kingsville Record for inviting me to give me this opportunity to express my views and my opinions as well as a candidate for the school board. My name is Jeanette Price. I'm married to Clarence Price. I graduated from H.M. King High School in 1975, so I am a Brahma. Once a Brahma, always a Brahma. I'm running for school board to bring some integrity back to the board. We know over the years that we've lost some of the trust of the people in the community. We've lost trust for the people in the community. I want to help make KISD one of the #1 school districts in the United States by bringing in programs and improving programs to support the superintendent, the teachers, to improve our test scores, and to help the students excel academically. I'm presently the Vice President of the Douglas Youth Center. I served on the Douglas Youth Center board for over 15 years. I was president up until recently. I'm the director of the Miss Kingsville pageant as well. I'm an active member of the King Star Baptist Church, officer and member. So that's why I'm running for school board, and that is my opening statement.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Ms. Ramos, your opening statement, please.
Hello, Kingsville. My name is Elizabeth Ramos. I do want to also thank you guys for doing this evening. There's a lot of elections going on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to focus on KISD. I truly believe the district needs a lot of help, and that's why I put my name in for place 5. I am not born and raised here. I am not a Brahma. I was born in Durham, North Carolina. And I moved to Florida, and I got married to the military and started moving around. I lived in Central Texas, other places in North Carolina, and I just spent a couple of years in the Valley prior to moving to Kingsville. I'd like to say I have some experience as far as how I expect a school system to run, since I've seen so many. I myself have been, passed around schools, and I see how they operate on a day-to-day basis as far as a student and a parental person sees them. And when I got here, I saw a lot of things that needed to change. And I brought those up to the current administration and to the board and didn't get anywhere. So I realized that there wasn't really a voice when it came to the community. And I did find that there was a voice in certain areas with certain friends and family. And I thought, well, what about everybody else? So I started going to the board meetings to find out what was going on, and I realized that I believe it really started with the district. And I started filming board meetings. I started asking for more transparency, and I wasn't getting these things. So I started filming them for the community so they can realize what is going on. I know that a lot of people are scared to come to these meetings, scared to speak up. That is something that I won't represent. That won't happen on my clock. I don't believe in retaliation, and I believe everybody should have a voice. I believe everybody's voice is important. So I want to be able to have that community, that nurturing side being brought to the board, where we can allow the community to vent. We can take these problems and try to find solutions to them instead of scoffing them off. I'm for transparency, I'm for accountability, safety, and academics. And I can't wait to see KISD do better, because when KISD does better, the rest of the community does better as well.
Thank you. We will go in reverse order in the questions, kind of like a snake draft in fantasy football. Mr. Prado was invited to attend tonight. He is not here, so we will go. Ms. Ramos, the first question is for you. What is the most important responsibility of a school board member, and what is not their responsibility? You have 2 minutes to answer.
What I've noticed being sitting in those board meetings is policy is very important. And I see that policy is not being followed the way it should be. And if policy needs to be changed, that's the board's job. Times change, then those policies need to change with the times. In order to file a grievance, it can go on forever and ever and ever. If you really wanted to, file a grievance, it could be a year, just like I experienced. Policy, I believe, is number one. When you get in there and you start fine-tuning, coping the policy, listening to the people, you can change it for the betterment of the district. The board is not supposed to get involved in day-to-day aspects of how the school is run. That's for the superintendent. I do believe things need to be brought up to the superintendent they may not see, but not in a retaliatory way. Not in a way that only focuses on certain aspects. Everybody should be able to come and say, this needs to be fixed, and be comfortable about stating these things to the superintendent, to the board, or anyone. We don't want to feel like anyone's being retaliated against. And a board needs to find a vision and a goal and have processes in place which they follow and stay in that lane.
Mrs. Price, would you like the question repeated?
Yes.
What is the most important responsibility of a school board member, and what is not their responsibility?
The most important thing for the board for me, is policy as well. To set policies, make sure policies are carried out per the board of directors, provide direction to the superintendent, just direction, not day-to-day operations of the vision, the missions and goals of the board, along with setting the rules and the guidelines per the board.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, do you need the question repeated?
No, I'm fine. I believe that the responsibility of the board is, first of all, to have a superintendent that's in place that's going to carry on the responsibility of the district. Okay? That's key. Within that, second is to, of course, make sure that the superintendent is aware of the policies and the procedures that are in place, okay? Of course, we can sit here and talk about policies and follow policies, that's absolutely right, but we need to have a superintendent that is in one and in tune with the policies and the procedures of our county, of our school district. And yes, within that, we set our goals, okay? As a board, we need to set goals, we need to set priorities, and not only just set them, but monitor them. We can't just give her or him the policies, but we need to monitor those things and make sure that they are meeting what the board expects. Also, we need to look at the effectiveness, okay? We need to keep the district moving forward, okay? The district cannot be stagnant, it's got to move forward. And the boards, you know, just much like we keep the superintendent accountable, the board needs to be accountable as well, okay? So that is one thing that we need to look at. And then, of course, we got to understand that the superintendent, they're the CEO of the district. They're the ones that are running. They're responsible for implementing, just like my opponent said, they're responsible for implementing, not us, okay? We tell the superintendent what we want, and he or she is the one that does that. We're also the responsibility of the board. They have to set a budget. They got to set tax rates, okay? And that's for her and her staff, okay, to do that. Now, what we need to do is make sure that they have enough, that we have enough funding.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. That is your 2 minutes. The next question will go to you. It's a long one. KISD is 15.7% below the state average for college readiness. Has a dropout rate higher than the state average, earned an F in 2018, and could not be rated in 2019 because the integrity of the data provided was called into question. How can the school board be more accountable to the public on student achievement, school performance, and progress over time?
There has to be consistency, okay? We've got to make sure that our superintendent is aware that the school board has his or her back, okay? We've got to make sure that if we can't expect this overnight, but we cannot also have filling positions every year as well. And so we must understand is that in order for a superintendent to be successful in KISD, we must understand is that they have the full surety that the board is behind them. These things will get better. These things will improve, but we must show that we've got she must know that the board has her back in supporting what she or he plans to do for our district. Now we have the superintendent in place, you know, and I'm happy that she's from here. She's a brainer. Praise God. You know, I thank God for that. But you know what? Whether she's from here or whether they were from somewhere else, they have to feel sure that they understand is that we as a board are going to back her up. Okay? And that is something that we got to make sure is that once that happens, we see morale boost up. We're going to see grades go up. We're going to see averages go up because you're right. There is a decline that we have, and that's something that we need to, you know, face.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Ms. Price, same question. Kingsville ISD is 15.7% below the state average for college readiness. Has a dropout rate higher than the state average, earned an F rating in 2018, and could not be rated in 2019 because the integrity of the data provided was called into question. How can the school board be more accountable to the public on student achievement, school performance, and progress over time?
Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been constantly getting new superintendents. So there hasn't been any consistency as far as superintendents, no guidance, no direction. There's several positions that have been vacant at the administrative level that I'm aware of that is key to the students and the administrators learning. For example, superintendent of curriculum and instruction, that was a vacant position. They hire, they don't stay. So we need consistency. So I would say support the superintendent, let her do her job, as a superintendent. Yes, the board is there to monitor and to evaluate the superintendent and to set the policies. We need more parental involvement. We gotta reach the parents. Charity starts at home. The school cannot be responsible for it all. Attendance, we have a low attendance rate. If the kids are not there, they're not learning. We need to find a way to get those kids and the parents on board with getting them to the school. Even though we're in COVID-19, there might be students right now that don't have Chromebooks or are not getting on the internet. So it's an everyday challenge for the administrators and the teachers, and it's hard. So I know what they're going through. I was a site coordinator for communities and schools. I know the challenges the teacher faces, the parent faces, the administrator faces on a daily basis. I was on the campus side. So we need to approve as a board quality administrators, skilled and trained teachers, and support staff to increase our scores. Good schools bring in businesses. Businesses don't want to come to cities where the schools have low scores.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Ms. Ramos, same question. KISD is 15.7% below the state average for college readiness. Has a dropout rate higher than the state average, earned an F rating in 2018, and could not be rated in 2019 because the integrity of the data provided was called into question. How can the school board be more accountable to the public on student achievement, school performance, and progress over time?
The data integrity issues were raised at school board meetings, so that should not have been a surprise to anybody. I believe Kreitz brought that up. I think that KISD, from what I've seen and from what I have heard, because getting information is very tough, it starts in the elementary and middle schools. When they're not getting the basic resources that they need, they fall behind. And just like some board members have mentioned, you just keep passing them along to the next grade. Not only do board members have to hold other board members accountable for their actions, we need to start holding our students accountable. They need to get the resources, and that's another thing. As a board member, if I were to be voted in, I would definitely give resources when needed. I don't think that's a question. I don't care how much it costs. That is very important to me. And I find that that's where students fall behind. They're not getting the extra help that they need. And they fall through the cracks. So definitely it starts at a young age. There's been a constant change, not only in the curriculum here at KISD. From what I can gather, they've had 5 curriculum changes in 5 years. So for administration to learn one curriculum and have to turn around and learn another one, I don't understand how that could possibly give you correct results and feedback from where, trying to find out where the teachers are as far as getting them what they need for their kids when their curriculum is constantly changing. We've also had 5 superintendents or interim superintendents in 4.5 years. That needs to change. We need to make KISD more enticing and try to keep the administrators here so they have a long amount of time to figure out how to do their job for the best interest of the district.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ramos, you can get to the next question too, as we go backwards. The question is, KISD has been a revolving door for superintendents over the last few years. Why is this occurring, and how will you work to stop it?
Well, I've actually spoken to previous superintendents, and their answer to me is they've been retaliated against. They've been beat down. They've been emailed constantly. None of the decisions they make are any good. We need to treat them with respect. When they don't do something we agree with, I believe we can find a common ground and reach a resolution into getting things done the right way. There's a certain way that you should treat people in order for them to want to work for you. It's called leadership.
Thank you. Mrs. Price, KISD has been a revolving door for superintendents over the last few years. Why is this occurring, and how will you work to stop it?
I think the board of directors have stepped overbound, out of their place, so to speak, and wanting to ask the superintendent to do different things, favors and other things that should not be, as one, towards personal or family members. With me being on a campus, I've seen board of directors go and ask superintendent to get into the daily operations of the school, and that's a no. They're just there to govern and set policy, as I've already discussed. I think we as board members need to hold the other board members accountable. So a lot of superintendents, we don't keep them because of the day-to-day operations that the board members want to act as the superintendents, so to speak. So as board members and a board member, I would hold that board member accountable. I mean, we as a board, I think, need to set policies for those type of things, which I don't know if there is a policy for that type of thing, but that would be my suggestion as a board member, that board members do not get involved. And it's probably a fine line to not get involved, but you have to hold the board member accountable. And don't be afraid to speak out to that board member or board members that are getting involved in those day-to-day operations.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, same question.
Absolutely. I believe that's exactly what our district has become. Hey, revolving door, just people wanting to come in, put in a year, put it on their resume, and off to my next job. That's not what a board needs to be looking at. What we need to look at is, first of all, I think our process of searching out for superintendents has to increase. I think we need to get a committee to know what's good for the district. We need to get people who are aware of the issues of the district. And while we're not looking for someone that's going to run our district, they're better informed, okay, of what we need to look for. And we cannot let our district be just a stopping point to put our name on your resume just because to say that you were here. That's not what we're about. I remember years back when I was going to school, we had superintendents for years. Teachers were. It just doesn't include our superintendent, but our teachers. Who were staying 25, 30 years, now we have, teachers that don't stay that long. We cannot be a district that promotes that. We've got to be a district that there has to be a passion, okay? There has to be a passion to serve our kids here in Kingsville, okay? Because if we have that passion, then we would see that, hey, there's going to be results. There's going to be results, okay? Is it difficult? Of course it's difficult. It's going to be difficult. Our new superintendent now, as she came in, she inherited something that was huge. It was monstrous. But you know what? If she has a passion and she has the right board members, we can get this done.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. The next question is for you. Why should parents choose KISD over the other school districts and private options in our immediate area?
Why should parents choose KISD? KISD was here at the beginning, and we're still here. Okay, we're still here. We continue. It's a great school. We've got good students, and we've got good teachers. Okay, we need to put leaders in place that have that same goal: provide a quality education for our kids. Okay, and with the schools that have opened up around us and the option, it saddens me, okay, because we have quality kids. Don't get me wrong. It's not to put anybody down. It's just, I'm concerned about KISD. My investment is in KISD, okay? So we need to make what's the best possible resources for our students in KISD. And that involves superintendent, teachers, taking care of our teachers. Very important. Teaching is very important. For teachers to stay, we've got to make sure they also know that we're behind them 100%. So it's important that you as parents of KISD, we have a quality school. We're going to get there, okay? We just need to put people that are going to be proactive in our approach, and we're going to need to be ready to do what it is that God has given us to promote, to assist these leaders in this time that we're living in as well. And provide the resources. We will provide. We should have had resources. There should be no excuse that we have delayed in our going forward with this whole pandemic. We should have provided resources. We should have been available. Let's move now. We did it. Let's move forward now and get our kids back on track. Yeah.
Thank you. And candidates, I understand that there's some difficulty hearing you. If you're comfortable removing your mask while you're answering a question, you can do so. Ms. Price, why should parents choose KISD over the school districts and other private options in our immediate area?
KISD is a great district. I can truly say that because I believe in this district. I've worked in the district for over 20 years. They have great teachers, great administrators. They just have great staff all around. They go above and beyond to make sure that student, if it's at risk, the whole population in that school is served for whatever need it may be, whether it's food, clothing. You know, teachers are not just teachers these days. Administrators are not just administrators. They're everything to that student when they come on that campus. If you don't have a social worker on your campus or a counselor, they're the counselor, they're the social worker, they're everything. They're the nurse. But we need, and KISD is some partnerships, resources. One partnership and one resource they already have is communities and schools. And I can say communities and schools because I know and it's fact that it works. It works, communities and schools, the Living Legends program work. We need more partnerships. It takes a village. It's gonna take us all to get to where we got to get, to go for the betterment of the student. We forget, it's the student that counts. And we have great students. We have great students. I had a saying when I was on my campus. Oh man, I would never give up on a student. I might be the one that make that change for that student. So the students never give up.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Ms. Ramos, why should parents choose KISD over the school districts and other private options in our immediate area?
That's a good one. And I ask that to myself about every single week. I have a son that goes to school here, and it's the teachers that make me want to drop my kid off at school every day. And they know who I'm talking about. I get phone calls at 8 o'clock at night, making sure that I have what I need for my son, and that has never happened in any district I've ever been to. These teachers care. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that maybe you go out to Walmart and you'll see your teacher there and you have to say hi. It's maybe the small town mentality that, you know, it's a smaller village where you're raising your kids, and you can really tell that these teachers care a lot about the kids that are in their classrooms. And I know, and I've seen the stress on some of their faces, that they keep grinding at it every day to try to do better for our kids. And that kind of dedication is what has made me keep my child at KISD. I'm gonna hand it to those teachers and administrators. I just hope that a board and the district can nurture them and give them what they need as well, just like they give my child and other children what they need. And that is why you need to take it to the KISD. They love your kids. I just want to nurture them back. And this is the way I want to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back again. Ms. Ramos, you get to make a closing statement now, 3-minute closing statement.
I'm not one of those kind of people that I fake it till I make it. I'm completely real. I'm honest, maybe a little bit too much. I need to keep that in check, but There's nothing more that I want to be as honest with this community, because I see that if the district can do better, Clayburgh County can do better. If our name is the F district, that people will want to bring their kids here, we'll get more funding, more teachers will want to be here for our kids. And I think it starts with transparency. So if we tell the community how we got here, where we are, and what the future goals are, and to get everybody on board and give them the resources they need, it could be feasible. Safety is important to me. Dropping your kid off in the morning, making sure they get to school on time. I know COVID is a totally different situation, scenario, it's the same thing, safety for your kid. Transparency, obviously. Accountability to me is important, because I see that people of power and leadership aren't holding others accountable. And I don't mean by just saying, oh, you did a bad thing. Accountability is learning from your mistakes. And when you learn from your mistakes, you grow and become a better person. You can teach that to those below you. Academics is important to me. I know a lot of other board members find athletics important. I do too, it keeps kids off the street, but they're called student athletes. Students first, and I want to make sure that they're getting the right type of education and the resources that they need, and that's very important to me. And respect. I've seen too much cat fighting on the board. I've seen retaliation from the board. I've seen retaliation from the board's outer circle, and that has to stop. Teachers can't be afraid to tell their administration what's going on. If you need to file a grievance, there should be no reason why you can't keep your grievance on file. There should be no reason why your grievance shouldn't be heard in 2 months or the second regular board meeting. So these things have to be nipped in the bud so that you can create a culture with the community to where you can uplift the community that we're doing things right, we're doing things honest, professional, ethical, and legal way. And you can go places with that. And I want to help the district go places. I want people who not only are homegrown here to want to love this place even more. I want people who visit here from the military to want to take their kids to school. And I also want people who come here and maybe work here for a while to want to stay. And that's my ultimate goal.
Thank you. Mrs. Price, your 3 minutes and a closing statement.
I have a passion for helping children, students. I have no political aspirations. I have no political aspirations at all for serving on this board. My goal is only there to help the students, the parents, the families that KISD serves, to support the superintendent, the administrators, the teachers, and other faculty staff. But there has to be transparency, there has to be accountability, there has to be the budget there for all the things that we would like to do as a board, for the academic success of the students, to bring integrity back. I mean, this board has, the integrity for me is a big key, for that we can get the trust of the parents back, the trust of them back, and the faculty's trust as well, and the teachers' trust. We're there to support them and listen to them. Not only listen, but carry out some of the things that they would like to do to support them. Bring in all the many resources that we can. There are grants out there. We need a grant writer for the board if we have to do that. I mean, there are so many options we can do, so many things that we can do to make this a better place to live in Kingsville, and people, it will attract Kingsville. We can make everybody's job easier. My job is to make everybody's job easier sitting on the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Price. Mr. Garcia.
You know, we've heard a lot about integrity of the board. I just want to thank the board that's in place now for the fact that they've had to go through this pandemic and make many difficult decisions. So I'm thankful that we have representation. However good or bad that is, that's that. what I want to say is this, is that I was going the other day, I was looking through the objectives. We have the objectives as a board set in place. And some of them, I just want to mention real quick, that parents will have full partnership with educators. Parents, not board members. That is not our job, okay? That was objective number 1 in the education of their children. There's another objective, to enhance dropout prevention efforts. I would like to know how many of us have touched base, how many board members have touched base with local law enforcement, the police department, the JPs, okay? To assist, there's programs. Ms. Price just mentioned right now that there's grants out there. Absolutely, there's grants out there, ready to be tapped into. And we must understand is that we need to do our part. Our part as a board member is to establish that community rapport with those businesses in the community as well. Reach out. We need to prepare our students and be thoughtful. And one of them that I saw there was allowing our teachers provide a good curriculum. I hate to see how many changes in curriculum we've made. Okay, but in order to have a solid curriculum, I totally believe that our teachers need to be involved in that process. Our teachers are in the trenches. They are the ones that are having to see these students daily. So it's important that we do that. So, what is it that we're here for? I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why, with my experience, working with LULAC National Educational Service Center, working with Fighting the Rig Gangs and American Foundation, and working with the county and being a pastor, I'm sensitive to the needs of our people, And that is something that we need to move and show that. I'm not saying that these are more qualified or less qualified. We all have weaknesses, we all have strength. So I know that I'm suitable for school board because I will never put my things first. The priority will be KISD, and I ask for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. That concludes our first of 2 town hall forums. Thank you, candidates, for your participation and your patience with the setup. For our viewers, the second of our 2 town hall forums will begin promptly at 7:15 with places 6 and 7. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again soon. Good evening. Welcome to a virtual town hall featuring candidates for KISD School Board. My name is Manny Salazar. I'm the President and CEO of the Kingsville Chamber of Commerce.
My name is Terry Fitzwater, and I'm the editor and publisher of the Kingsville Record.
Today we will feature candidates for places 6 and 7. The candidates will have a 3-minute opening, followed by 4 questions with which they will get 2 minutes to answer, and a 3-minute closing. The candidates have all agreed to the rules prior to the start of the debate, of the forum rather, and all the candidates who were on the ballot were invited to attend. So with that, we will welcome the candidates who are here this evening with us to take their seats, and we will begin. Okay, candidates, we will begin with the 3-minute opening. Mr. Glucy, we will start with you, and we'll kind of go back and forth as we move through the questions and the opening, closing, and whatnot. I will be your timekeeper. You will be given 3 minutes for your opening. Mr. Glucy, when you are ready.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Jim Glusing, and before we get started, I would like to thank the Kingsville Chamber of Commerce, the Kingsville Record, and KTV 69, or King TV 69, for hosting this forum for us. I think it's important to get our message out to the community and allow them to make their own decisions on what's going on. To let you know a little bit about myself, I was born in 1961 here in Kingsville. I went through grade school here, junior high, and graduated as a Brahma in 1979. I'm born and raised in Brahma, and I am proud to be a Brahma, and I look forward to being proud to have the same opportunities for the kids in our school district as we have now. My opponent has recently endorsed homegrown as is something that he aspires to achieve with new employees. I'd like to say that as a employee of the state, I go through training every year, and one of them that I was just completed was discrimination training, and I would like to share with you what it said in our training. For best practices, relying heavily on recruiting from personal networks can be problematic. People's networks tend to be comprised of people similar to them, so referrals can often perpetuate the status quo. This is something that our school district has been pushing, or my opponent has been pushing, is to hire homegrown. While I'm homegrown and proud to be so, I only ask for your vote if you feel that I am the best candidate for the position. I do ask for your vote on November 3rd, and I hope you will consider me as your candidate. One of the things that I think is important is to engage the community. Our community participation at meetings has been very, very low, especially with COVID and the reduced number of seating in there and the fewer number of people that they allow. This is something that we have to strive hard to overcome. I feel that we need to build ways for the community to participate, not set roadblocks up for their participation. There's certainly ways that we can have meetings in larger buildings or larger rooms that the district has available to them, and this ought to be an option for our community. And also, we don't follow the rules of the Open Meetings Act. We should be striving to achieve the goals of the Open Meetings Act and for our students, rather than trying to see what is the minimum we can get away with and not get in trouble from the state of Texas. We should actually be going beyond and doing the best that we have for our kids. We need to get our parents and the community engaged, not put up more roadblocks. And I believe my time's up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gleason. Mr. Greenwood, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. I first want to start off by thanking the Chamber of Commerce, the Kingsville Record, and also King TV 69 for putting this forum on tonight. I'm saddened that my opponent didn't feel this event to be important enough to show up so we could find out exactly where she stood on the issues as it relates to Kingsville Independent School District. My name is Brandon Greenwood. I'm born and raised here in Kingsville, Texas. Matriculated through the Texas A&M University Kingsville system, got a master's degree in education there at that university. Although I moved off to Houston early on to work for Texaco Oil, I thought it best to come back to my roots and put my money where my mouth was and invest in this community. I built a funeral home from the ground up here 15 and a half years ago because I believe in this community. But being a businessman, I also know that if you don't have good schools and you don't have a good school system, you're not going to attract people to move into the community. And as a business person, we need people wanting to live here, put their schools in our system in order to want to purchase properties and be a taxpayer here in this district. Unfortunately, the last 12 plus years, this district has continued to slide in the wrong direction. I'm one of 7 board members, and I stand behind the votes that I've cast throughout my 6.5 years on this board. Unfortunately, sometimes you're on the losing side of those votes. Nevertheless, I stand behind those votes. I will take you back to about 3 years ago when we had a superintendent that board members offered an extension and a raise to, and 2 weeks later, this district got an F rating from the TEA agency. Some board members, even as today, try to say we didn't have an F or we don't have an F or we're not an F. Well, we're not an A and we're not a B. And anything short of that to me is a failure to our students. I believe that we need to stick to what school board members should be doing, and that is setting policy, adopting the tax rate, and hiring and firing of the superintendent. Anything out of those things, we're acting outside of our scope of responsibility. I ask for you to support me on November 3rd with your vote as I try to continue to fight and do what's in the best interest of all students of Kingsville Independent School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. We will be going in a snake draft of back and forth. Just for the record, we asked the chamber asked Mrs. Salinas and Mr. Garza to be here tonight. So you will get your first question, Mr. Greenwood. The question is, what is the most important responsibility of a school board member and what is not their responsibility?
The most important responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, of a school board member is to set policy. There are two other things that we do as school board members, and that's it. As I said in my opening statement, hiring and firing of the superintendent and setting the tax rate. We have no other duty as a school board member. We should not be going to the schools on a daily basis to try to see what's going on and putting our 2 cents worth in, hanging out at the athletic department daily. I shouldn't be going to eat lunch with different school personnel. That's outside of my scope of responsibility as a board member. And even though I may not be doing anything that is wrong, it sure gives the idea that I may be doing something that's not right. Setting policy, adopting the tax rate, and the hiring and firing of the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Glusing, would you like that question repeated?
I think I understand, remember the question. I believe that my responsibility as a school board member is to see all students receive the education they deserve, regardless of their socio or economic background, and regardless of their path to either industry or to higher education. It's our job to give them the opportunity to make those decisions, not to make them for them. And it's also a second responsibility is to ensure students, faculty, and administration have a safe place to work, free of persecution and the threat of retribution. And the way we do this is, as Mr. Greenwood said, we set policy, the board sets policy, they hire the superintendent, they make sure that they give oversight, that policies are followed, and they set the tax rate. A problem that we have had in the past is that our school district has been getting into minutia. They've been micromanaging our administration. And new programs take time to develop. If you have a new administration coming in, they'll want to, I would hope, look at what the strengths and weaknesses are. Figure out who has the ability to do different things and develop a program and implement a program that takes advantages of the strengths that we have and is able to work with the weaknesses that we have, and then bring in more people as needed. That's the superintendent's job, is to make sure that everything runs as the district should. But as we have a merry-go-round, we've had people come in at many positions, I can't say every position, but at many positions, from the superintendent down to the curriculum development people that go, each year we've had new ones to deal with, and they haven't even had an opportunity to see if the programs that they're going to implement are successful or not. We've just ushered them out the door or given them cause to go look for another job somewhere else because they were in fear of being replaced very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason. The next question is for you. KISD is 15.7% below the state average for college readiness, has a dropout rate higher than the state average, earned an F rating in 2018, and could not be rated in 2019 because the integrity of the data provided was called into question. How can the school board be more accountable to the public on student achievement, school performance, and progress over time?
If you've been keeping up with my campaign, you'll notice that most of the things that I call out the school board for is their failure to follow policy. Laws of the state of Texas or policies of the TEA. I think that if the way to be successful is a roadmap that's already there for us. We have chosen we have not chosen as a district. Our leadership as a district has failed to enforce the policies that would require us to use the roadmap that's already there for us. We've got, in athletics, we weren't even following and requiring our athletics coaches to have the minimum safety certifications to be the sponsors of different groups. This is the safety of our kids. we've had a superintendent that was influenced by a board member on who to vote for and who to promote, because it was either owed to them or for some other reason. This was stated in an open board meeting, and people can go back and look that up in time. I do have to say that there's only one board member, and I will give credit to Mr. Greenwood here. He is the only board member that I know of ever that has publicly called out one of his fellow members for something that wasn't done properly. It needs to be done more often. If somebody is not living up to the responsibilities, or if they're violating ethics, or if they're violating any of the rules or hindering the district's achieving compliance with the rules, they need to be called out. And we have a very friendly place in South Texas where everybody's very polite and afraid to call these things out.
Mr. Gleason? Mr. Greenwood, KISD is 15.7% below the state average for college graduates, has a dropout rate higher than the state average, earned an F rating in 2018, and could not be graded in 2019 because the integrity of the data provided was called into question. How can the school board be more accountable to the public on student achievement, school performance, and progress over time?
Well, Mr. Salazar, I'll start with that 2018 rating. I saw the writing on the wall before that rating came out. Unfortunately, the majority of the board at that time either could not decipher, maybe they didn't know how to read the data, but there's no way I could agree to give that superintendent at that time not only an extension to her contract, but also a raise. 2 weeks later, we got the rating from TEA and it was an F. She didn't stick around. She found employment elsewhere and resigned. And those are just some of the things. A board member needs to be able to decipher data, interpret data, see the writing on the wall before the crash happens. That 2018 rating and that board that decided to give that superintendent an extension and a raise is a clear indication that they didn't know what they were doing. Second thing is, the board has got to step away from the day-to-day operations of the district. We have hired a superintendent. I have vowed in open session to support the decisions that this superintendent is making, unless I can prove and show up that this is not the right direction. Then I will go to her in private and talk to her about that. I won't try to embarrass her in public, as some other board members have done over the past 1.5 to 2 years. It is my job to support the superintendent as much as possible. She is the person that is, well, for lack of a better term, is the CEO of the district. She is supposed to bring recommendations to the board, and if they're in line with TEA and things that are going on, we should be supporting her. So let's stop, let's get out of the day-to-day operations and let the administration do their job.
Thank you.
Thank you. This question is also for you, Mr. Greenwood. You can go first. KISD has been a revolving door for superintendents over the last few years. Why is this occurring, and how will you work to stop it?
When you have board members on the board that want to run the district and will not allow the superintendent to do the job that they were hired to do, you will continue to have a revolving door. If something doesn't go my way, that does not give me a free pass to attack the superintendent and say, if you don't make this happen, I'm going to see to it that you're gone. The last superintendent that was here, Ellie Libera, told me as vice president of the board that one board member told her, I had 4 votes to get you in and I have 4 votes to get you out. I think there's a certain select group on this board that are trying to ensure that they can get that fourth vote one more time. That's not the way I do business. That's not the way I operate. We should be doing what's in the best interest of the district, bottom line. Not for what's best for our spouse, not to what's best for only our child, but what's in best interest of the entire district. And by allowing the superintendent to do that, I think is how you accomplish that.
Thank you. Mr. Guzzi?
I think that we, as mentioned, we need to stay out of the micromanagement as a board. We're there to set up policies to help the school district. The superintendent is the enforcement arm. The school superintendent is the person that goes and takes our policies and sets up programs to see that they're followed. The superintendent is the oversight, but it's our job as the school board to back that person up and know that they have our support. And also to provide the funding that's necessary. It was very difficult last year when I was listening to the school board meeting, and I was there, and our IT director got up and said, we need money for computers. We all know that computers go bad. They get old, they're outdated, and the school board chose not to support the funding of new computer technology. Now, when COVID hit, the superintendent didn't have any resources. The superintendent was forced to wait until she could get the board to vote and allocate the money. She couldn't make that decision on her own, number one, because the amount was over what she's allowed to make that decision of. But every step, our board has gone into the micromanagement. Every position that needed to be hired, they were a part of. Our school teachers couldn't look forward to what they were going to do because the superintendent didn't have the authority to hire and fire, which is her job. That is outlined as her job, is to assess the faculty and staff of the district and choose whether or not they're going to move up or be retained. But our board did not allow that to happen. Every single position of upper level administration had to go before the board for their approval. And some were granted and some weren't. We need to support the superintendent.
Thank you. All right, to our final question. Mr. Glucy, why should parents choose KISD over other school districts or private options in our immediate area?
I think that parents should choose Kingsville as an option because in the KISD, because it's such a big part of the community. Being part of KISD, this is what they're going to remember. My stepdaughter goes to school here. That's important to me. She's going through the school district that I went through. I'm very proud of her. And I'm proud that she has that opportunity. I think that there are tremendous weaknesses that we have. And I think there are weaknesses that we can overcome. I think we've got a superintendent now that has the capability, she has the energy, and she has the determination to make this the school that it once was. I had the pleasure of going to school in the 70s, late 70s. Dr. Pettis graduated in the early 80s. I know the district that she came from, and she knows what Kingsville is capable of and what we can do. That's why they ought to be here. That's why they ought to choose Kingsville and the KISD. I think, however, right now, parents have to they have so much to choose from. They have to look at what's best for their child in the school district. And right now, there are things that we don't offer. Special education services are something that we're very inadequate, we're woefully inadequate with right now. And I think that's something that people should be concerned about. But that's not an option. They can't go somewhere else. So that's the thing that we need to do, is we need to work with the superintendent and look at the things that's going to make the school better and make people want to have their kids here and not be a last effort or a last choice. That's what we have to overcome. And until then, that's what we all have to work for. And it won't be just the school board, it won't be me, it won't be Mr. Greenwood, it will take the entire community. And that's why we need your vote as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lucy. Mr. Greenwood. Why should parents choose KISD over the other school districts or private options in our immediate area?
I think that's a great question. The tide is changing here at KISD, I believe. I think we have a phenomenal superintendent in Dr. Pettis. She's well informed. She's a go-getter. She believes in teamwork. She's not going to ask us to do anything that she's not willing to do herself. I think she's brought a great group of administrators with her, and I think all of them are going to be able to do great things in KISD. Second of all, I think we have some of the nicest facilities in South Texas when it comes to school facilities. We have beautiful facilities here. We have great programs. We have great programs that we offer: band, football, sports, UIL. These are great programs that I think we offer that maybe some of the neighboring districts don't offer. But even more so than that, like Mr. Glusing said, I graduated from this school district and I am proud of the school district. Currently, it's not the district that I graduated from, but I think we're headed in the right direction. If there's one thing I do know about Kingsville and KISD is that we have heart. I think we have true heart, and we do want what's best for children. If we can just move out of the way as adults, get the politics out of the school board room, and simply focus on what's right for children, this district will again be the district of choice it was when I went to this school district over 20 years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. You get to make your closing statement first. You'll have 3 minutes.
I want to thank you all. You've entrusted me. This will be my 3rd term on this school board if I'm re-elected, and I sincerely ask for your support. There's lots that are still left to be done. We're nowhere near where the district needs to be in reference to educating our children. With your help and your support on November 3rd, I plan to work with whoever's elected on this board. I feel that I can work with and be able to try to do what we need to do as a district to ensure that all children are getting a quality education. Every child deserves a quality education, no matter what color, race, religion, sex, socioeconomic status. You deserve a quality education. We owe it to our taxpayers to make sure that we are offering quality education in KISD. And with your help on November 3rd, I plan to be part of that change.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. Mr. Glusing, your chance for a 3-minute closing statement.
This last year has made several things very clear. Number one, we have to work to change our policies, especially in regard to the grievance proceedings. It should never take a year to have a grievance heard. My stepdaughter is going to be a junior next year, and with the time that it's taking to hear grievances, if something happens to her next year and I file a grievance, she'll be in college before the board ever hears it. This is something that can't be allowed to go on. We need policies in place to see that grievances are cleared in a reasonable amount of time. I also bring to the table 15 years of university teaching experience. I believe that we have educators here, we have teachers, we have staff that are very dedicated and hardworking, and their interest is in making sure that kids get a wonderful education. It's the leadership that's lacking. When you're setting up to do one thing for a year and your superintendent changes, or a higher level administrator changes, or your principal changes, and all these changes are going on, you don't know what's expected of you as a teacher. I've gone through this at the university when I've changed the dean, when our dean left and we have a new dean. It takes time for policies to be implemented, and it takes time after that for the teachers who are implementing the policies to become comfortable with it. We've got to let them become comfortable with the policies and move forward, and that's not something we can do with the change of leadership all the time. Also, as a faculty at the university, I know that just because we can get an associate's degree for every student that graduates, it's not the best choice for some. I can tell you that an associate's degree prevents some higher achieving students of being eligible for scholarships. And that's very important for our families, especially in this community, is because education is the gateway for a better life. I truly believe that. but we have to give our kids the opportunity to get that education to move forward. And our kids are smart enough. I've also learned that quite often it's more, we don't have a high enough expectation of our kids, and that kids will rise to the level of our expectations. And I think it's important that we demand and have high demands of our kids, because they will live up to our demands. The TEA assesses the quality of education that KISD provides. It publishes it every year. In 2018, we failed. In 2019, under the leadership of my opponent, KISD provided and manipulated data that TEA found could not be trusted. So we got no rating at all. Do I have all the answers? I can't make that promise. I do know my opponent has had 16 years to address these issues and failed to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Glusing and Mr. Greenwood. I appreciate your attendance tonight. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to Virtual Candidate Forum featuring KISD School Board candidates. Again, all candidates were invited to participate. I want to thank you gentlemen both for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
For an important discussion. Encourage everyone to go vote. Election day is coming up. If you have any questions, reach out to the candidates directly. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to let the viewers know that this will be replayed on the YouTube channel from King 69 and the Kingsville Record. So if somebody missed it, you got both episodes will be replayed in